Hello lovely. This holiday, while other people are busy doing whatever it is they do at this time of the year, I'm going to be working on Ashton Place. I'm having a bit of a break from Bramble Cottage and getting stuck into Ashton Place, my new townhouse, and I'm starting off with, let's put you down carefully there, I'm starting off with the stairs, just the bottom couple of stairs because it got too cold the other day to be outside sanding, but I've sanded the first couple of bits of stairs and I'm painting them white on the back very carefully. This is not rustic, this isn't Bramble Cottage. So I've stained with wood dye. I'm going for Georgian oak, medium oak, and I'm going to paint this flat bit at the back because that's going to be the stair. Oh, sorry, you're off camera. That's going to be the stairs as somebody walks down. That's going to be the ceiling. And I've got some spindle bits to paint. I couldn't get them all sanded before I got too cold. So I'm going to prime these as well. So I'm priming the backs, priming those. And I sanded some newel posts, and what I've done is I've sort of just gone very softly over the top so they've got a very slight roundedness. So I'm going to put some finish on these. I will show you when I do them. And I've stained also some handrails. These are going to need a bit more finishing, finessing, and they are going to have to be mitered off to fit. I told you in a previous video, if you're in Patreon you'll see it, when I did the unpacking I had too many parts and I realised that I had some spare bits probably from another house because the gentleman who had previously owned this kit, he obviously hadn't got round to building it before he passed away. So the friends of the family were clearing out the loft for them. And there were some bits missing from the kit, as in glue and sandpaper, but we seem to have gained some bits, including these sort of things. So I've worked out what I need and what I think are spare. The ones I believe are spare are safely to one side. But one of these fits right at the top of the staircase in the attic landing, but I'm not sure which one it is, and I won't be sure until I assemble that run of stairs. So what I'm going to do, the one is slightly bigger than the other, one slightly fatter, one slightly taller. So I'm going to prime them both, I'll paint them both, and you never know, one will come in handy for something somewhere else, for something, I don't know what, but I will prime them both and then I've got them both ready for assembling when I do this. So do pop back regularly and I will share lots of videos with you as I go. Obviously I'll be saving a lot of content for my Patreon subscribers. If you're getting a doll's house as your gift this holiday, then you may well want to subscribe and join me and you can binge watch everything that is in there. So I will talk to you very soon. I'll get painting. Let's give you a little update on what I've figured out. So I've sorted out all the stair runs with the appropriate bit of banister. Sorry, that's not banister, spindles, isn't it? And then the handrail that goes on each, and I have got to saw it appropriately, the end, to get the right angle. Then there's a newel post, top and bottom, for each stair run. So I've worked all these out and I've got the right amount of newel posts, I've got the right amount of hand banisters and the right amount of stair runs. There are 2 longer stair runs and then all the rest are shorter ones. But what I discovered was I've got all these parts left over, but they're not actually left over, I don't think. See, that's all taped together. Don't know what that's about. And I think because the box, when I bought the house, I say off these people, friends of the family of the gentleman that had died, and this house was in his loft. He used to make up houses for people, kid houses, and I asked them online before I went around and collected it, are all the parts there? And they said, yes, we've checked, apart from the glue and the sandpaper. So he'd already taken out the glue and the sandpaper from this kit. But I think he'd put in spare bits from another kit. You see, that is the bit that goes up here at the top, because there's only one staircase coming up, and then this goes at the top of the landing with its little, sorry, I'm trying to do all this one-handed, with its little handrail at the top. So that's going to go there. So these bits are all spare, which is just as well, because there were these two broken bits. I think they got crushed in the box. So I'm gonna hang on to those. I have no idea what that big flat bit is for. Can't find anything about that. So I'm just going to keep those to one side, and when I've completely put everything together, and I have checked again about these, I've got the right things there, I've got the right things there for the windows, but once I've put everything together, and I have counted these with the contents list, so these definitely seem to be spare. When I'm sure that they're spare and I can't think of anything else to do with them, then they will go in my useful things. And I've no idea what they might come in for, but they might come in for something like a big garden gate, or I've no idea. But anyway, who knows? What do you do with 4 of these? Well, there's 4, 5, 6, 8 of those. 4 large ones, 4 small ones, and a big flat thing. Don't know, but anyway, they'll come in useful. And if you have a house like this and you're short of a couple of bits, then shout up. You may be able to have these. Don't know. Not going to get rid of them yet. They will say they will go in my useful things box. I have moved my townhouse onto my desk so that I can start painting the insides properly. It's only had a very rough prime. I want to paint the insides and do the electrics this week. So while she's here on my desk, because I can't do much else, she's taking up so much space, I can get on with all the proper painting, and then I can fit the chimney breasts, do the electrics and other bits that need to be done while she's laying down. I've got this paint thing going on, so I have found this ordinary household emulsion. I think it's called Chocolate Milkshake. I've no idea where it came from. It's never been used. Bought for our house, obviously. I say obviously because it was in our garage. But I've given it a stir. I say it's never been opened. So what I'm doing is adding a little tiny bit to this old pot that I've had going on. It's got white emulsion in it, it's got white acrylic paint, which is pretty much the same thing anyway, and some bits of Flow Improver that I've got from my arty days. And this pot has been on the go, being topped up so much. It's just crazy to decant it. So I've used my stirring spatula, because what I want for the ceilings in the townhouse is white, but just slightly unwhite. So this needs a lot of stirring, but to just take off the whiteness. And I think this will work. So I'll put this lid away. I can always mix them more. I know they won't be exactly the same shades, but they're not going to be in the same rooms. And if I run out of paint for one room, then I just have to start again in that room and have another go with the whole mix. So this will be a work in progress. There's a lot of paint on this, so I need to get this out because it's going to be forever gifting up some of the chocolate milkshake stuff. So I'll get this out the way, give it a good clean up, and then I can give that another stir with something else. I'll end up with paint everywhere. I'm looking at colours for all the way up the 5-storey stairwell, and what I have in mind is a soft mossy sort of green. So I've pulled out the tester pots that I have been gifted because there will certainly be something in here, and I can easily dilute it. So I have got, see, that's just Alberta. That's just sort of a whitish one. I can use that as in the mix. This is a soft stone. I can use that in the mix and use that as a softer colour. I've looked at these two, and I think that one's a bit too bit too watercolory. That one, Willow Tree, not sure about that one. That one's not bad. That one is a bit too zingy. I'm sorry, you probably can't see the colours terribly well. It's 2:45 and we've just gone past the shortest day. So here in the UK, it's a bit gloomy. This colour is not bad. What's this called? A Whispering Sage. Okay, sage. We're on a theme here. This one, very similar. English sage. We're on a sage theme. And this one, Fresh Artichoke. So what I'm tempted to do, I don't know how old these are, I will give them a good stir. Let's have a look inside. These, ooh, that's good. These Wilco pots tend to survive better than the Dulux pots. The Dulux ones have got a brush in, but I don't use that. Yeah, okay, so that needs a good stir. I mean, they all need a good stir, but that I think is a much nicer colour. And this is Fresh Artichoke, which actually I quite like. And I can see the colour on the side of the house here is deceptive in this light. So that looks a bit greeny. I think I might mix them all together in a pot. They can always go in a jam jar afterwards if I've got spare. But I want to do all the walls. I painted the ceilings in the colour mix that I showed you, in the white with a bit of chocolate milkshake in it. Chocolate milkshake colour, not chocolate milkshake thing. So I think I will have a go at mixing up some colour, and then I can paint all the walls. Bearing in mind that the stairs, let me get the stairs, I will show you. So these are just stained dark oak. That's going to have a dust because that's got a bit of dried paint on it. So I'm leaving the stairs dark. This has been painted white. I'm going to go over this with the same white that's got this, is on the ceilings, although you're not actually going to see much of that at all, and it's got a dark wooden handrail. So the light will bounce around in the stairwell, so I don't want it to be too dark. So I think I might mix some of this lovely sagey colour with the whitey Alberta, and We'll take that one out. That's 2. I don't know that I'm going to need that one. I might throw in a bit of this. I don't know how much I can get out of this. I don't even know if I can get stuff out. See if I can pull the rollery brush thing off and see how we go. Let's get another glove on. Got a feeling this will be messy. Get my trousers out the way. Oh yes, that's out. There's going to be some disgusting noises here. They don't design these things for getting stuff out. Probably if it sits for a little bit, it will squirt out a bit more easily. And I'm going to stir it. I've got these thick lolly sticks, or are they tongue depressors? I'm not really sure. You can call them what you like. And get stirring this. I'm going to have to put it in a bigger pot anyway to mix in the white, and also I want to use a fatter paintbrush. I can't remember if I just said I've given the ceilings a second coat, and that's looking good. That's coming out well. So if I prop that up that way, that can still run off. There's a useful little plasticky thing. I wonder what that will come in for. Keep that in my useful box. So if you get offered any tester pots, I suggest you take them. You never know what might come in useful out of them. And often the colours that are more pleasing to the eye are often the in-betweeny colour. So is it a sort of a bluey, greeny, bluey sort of colour, rather than just, wow, that's blue, or wow, that's green. When you've got a sort of a bit of this and a bit of that, it can be much more pleasing on the eye. And I didn't want to do wallpaper up the stairs. I don't know why. I feel very deliberate about that, probably because the stairwell, I'm not going to try and separate off one landing from another colour wise up the walls, because that's always tricky, isn't it? You know, when you paint your whole stairs and landing at home, it's sort of, it goes all the way up really, doesn't it? It's quite a big job. Oh dear, I've got a bit of the dry stuff gone in there. I have to pick that out as I go. So rather than trying to have separate layers with different colours on, it's just easier, I feel, to paint the whole thing the same colour. So I've got consistency up the stairwell. I did once visit a house and they had different colour on each landing. And it was sort of like, they were bright colours as well. And it was a bit like you were sort of entering another universe as you went into this new colour theme. It was quite funky, but it would be quite tiring if you lived with it all the time. I suspect that the kids had a lot of say on what colours they wanted outside their bedroom doors, but we had yellows and purples and all sorts. It's the sort of thing, if you were moving in the house, you might go, lovely house, but I've got to decorate before I can live here. Each to their own. And I'm all for having neutral colours and letting the colour of your fabrics and everything shine through, and I'm doing that to a degree, but I want I want colour and wall coverings there because it's congruent to the period of the house, but also otherwise it can all look a bit too plain. And why do they always decorate rental properties just with magnolia? Because it just means it's a blank canvas for whoever. Yeah, I like that. That's a good, gentle, soft shade. I wonder if I can get the rest of that out. If I get it out later, it's going to alter the colour. Anyway, hey ho. Right, I might use the same brush that I used. In fact, I'm going to use the same brush that I used on the ceilings because I can't do any more on the ceilings. I don't think they'll need another coat, but that's wet at the moment, so I won't be touching up that again. Yes, lovely. Right, I'm going in. I will show you when I've painted some of it. Let's give you a progress report. So I have painted the ceilings. I'm very happy with those. And I have started painting the stairwell, this sagey green. And I've done one coat, so I'm going to give that a second coat today. What I've realised is I hadn't painted the under landing. So I'm going to have to do that first. And then I'll do the second coat on the stairwell. So, on with that. Let's show you where we're up to so far. So, I have, we've drilled the holes for the electricity, and using our domestic normal drill, battery powered drill, Paul found this nifty 90 degree, let me get that in camera for you, 90 degree angle thingy attachment, which meant we could go into the hole, into the space, the room space, quite easily to drill the hole down. So in each room, if you like, the cable is coming out underneath the floor of each room, and then I've gouged a channel. Can you see that? Not terribly clearly, but I will show you what with. I know it's going under the floorboards, but I wanted to sink the cable a little bit, and I got these chisels to carving knife set to just gouge it down a little bit so that they will sit underneath the floor quite easily. And if you see this one here, this is coming from the top landing, so the hole has come through the wall and I've had to take it up, which reminds me we haven't made a hole for that, for the cable to come out. Right, okay, just when you think you're finished you find something else to do. I have painted the green a second coat for the whole stairs landing stairwell area. One wall isn't quite as good as I would like because the light was going when I was painting that, so that needs a bit more touching up. And I've come up with a nifty solution for how I'm going to shuffle around the cables for the stairwell lights. I will show you that when it comes to putting in the stairs. And it's been a bit of a lazy sort of day today, really. Haven't done quite as much as I would have liked, but there we go. We're allowed days off now and again, aren't we? Hasn't all got to be busy, 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 do. But I'll make some more progress now. Hello lovely, today I've had a bit of a clear out in the cabin, trying to keep warm because it's very cold and snowy out there today. So it was a good excuse to be very active rather than sitting. But while the cabin is warm, I just feel like doing a little painting job. So I have fished out these roof tiles, which I didn't use. I bought them for Bramble Cottage, and then I thought with the shape of the roof and the little bit of porchy bit I'd added and stuff like that, I wasn't going to use these because there was going to be too much wastage of cutting bits. But what I'm going to use them for is quarry tiles in the downstairs basement hall area next to the kitchen of the townhouse, which is still unnamed. I'm working on it. I'm nearly there, but I'm working on it. So it's still just the townhouse for now. So I'm going to do a bit of painting on these. See, I'd already sort of greyed them. I've done the first layer. I think I used sepia ink. Use what you've got. I had that and I thought that would be the first coat of this. So I'm going over this with acrylic paints, and I'm using up some of the cheap ones which I had. I've got a couple of different browns, yellow ochre and a primary red. So I'm going to have a bit of a mix, and I'm not a fan of quarry tiles, I have to say, quite simply because I know how cold they can be on your feet. We had quarry tiles in our kitchen in this house before we changed it to, well, it's now the utility room anyway. We've had to move around. So I'm going to just have a bit of a play, and then you always want to make sure, I'm using a wet palette knife here, always make sure you've got enough mixed up, but I don't want it to be too even. I like a bit of unevenness in the colour. It probably is a little bit pinky, but it's quite warm because you can very easily get quite dark and cold looking. So let's mix up some more, and because they're going to be individual tiles, it doesn't matter if they're different shades here and there, because that's the thing, they're not very uniform. Might have put a bit too much red in there. No, that's all right actually. And what I am going to add, because I've got it, a little bit of pouring medium. And what this does is it just sort of makes the splosh, because it's quite a full bottle. Got a bit of blowback there. What it does is it just well, it's used in paint pouring if you're doing pouring, you know, like acrylic pours, but it just gives the paint a little bit more fluidity and smoothness. So let's try a couple and see how they look. I'm going to wet my brush first. So I'm using a flat brush, and when I got these, because there was quite a bit of wood up here, I trimmed that off because I knew that there was going to be the overlap. I decided I didn't need that much, so I trimmed some of that off. Okay, so these are going to need a couple of coats by the looks, and that's okay. So I can go over and build up the layers of colour. What I do want to make sure I do is get in between the tiles so the edges are done. And I want to do this now partly because my fingernails need cutting. They're just at that length where they're just driving me a little bit potty. They're a bit too long, so I thought if I'm going to get them all painty, that's the time to cut them, and it's quite useful having them a bit on the long side. This will dry really quickly. So I'm going to trim these down. Oh, fingers are sticking together. To get them quite square after the paint has dried. but the light is still good at the moment, so I thought this was a good job to do. And gives me a little sense of one more thing done. It's very early days for the townhouse. So yes, a couple of coats are going to be needed for this, and I'd rather build up the layers rather than do one thick gooey layer, and it's probably not sticking on quite so well because I've put the ink on already, so that's okay. It all gives it a little bit more variety of colour. The tiles we've got in our what's now utility room are very dark. They've been down there a long time, but we when we ripped up some of the kitchen units, it hadn't been tiled underneath. It was a bit of a botched job, I think. So we bought some more Quarry tiles, probably about 30 years or more, no more because it's a 70s house, since the others were laid, and these are completely different colour. We couldn't get a colour match, but you know, that's life. You just got to go with how it is and don't stress about it. Live adventurously rather than perfectly, that's what I think. Who cares if it's not matchy-matchy? Not me. So I've had quite a good clear out today. Well, not so much a clear out as a tidy and a reshuffle, because things were how I'd left them when I'd finished doing art on canvas, and I hadn't really got back into houses at that point. So things in here weren't really right for how I want them, and I seem to have piles of things without a real home. I will give you a proper tour one day. I've got some things I'm going to take to Scrappy's, which is a project near us. I think it runs as a charity, and they do all sorts of art. They sell stuff, but it's run as a charity, so I think they support various community groups and stuff. So these are going to break very easily once I try to separate them. I've given a lot of my paint materials, because I believe in passing things on, pay it forwards, to our local ARC, as it's called, which is a homeless shelter, and they have a sort of a day centre, I think, for people trying to get their lives back together again. And I know that there have been a couple of people over the years using the services who actually have been very good artists. And sometimes when you're not able to find the words to express yourself, you can do so through art. It can be a very supportive tool. But because some of the things I've got is aerosol, glue, fixative things, I didn't think the ARC would want to take those, because if somebody does have an addictive habit in some way, that probably wouldn't be appropriate. Obviously they would decide what their service users have access to there, but then they've got to think about how to get or pass on this stuff that isn't of any use to them. But they're very appreciative of the art materials. There wasn't anything hugely expensive or anything like that. They were more things that I'd accumulated over the years. A neighbour of mine she had quite a play with art, and then decided to go back to just textiles. So when she was moving house, she basically palmed off all her art stuff on me, which was fine. I've been able to pass it on and find new homes for it. So I like these actually. I quite like the undercoat there. It's sort of making them quite a bit darker. It's giving more depth to the colour. I've been playing some fantastic music in here today, so it's really buoyed me. I feel I've been singing along, watching the snow thaw slowly. It's not going to thaw before tonight, and we're in for a big freeze tonight, so it's not going to be very nice for people on the roads tomorrow. Oh, the joys of central heating. Aren't we blessed? There's somebody that grew up without central heating. Oh yes, it's so lovely. I've been trying to think what I could do with a little bit of something I don't want. Gold leaf. I've got quite a lot of gold leaf stuff left that I don't use, and I don't know that I'm going to use it in my townhouse. I don't think that would fit really with the style I have in mind, which is much more sort of arts and crafts, and they really weren't into the blingy bling. See, these tiles are longer. I didn't cut as much off these. Never mind, they will be trimmed down. I have done a rough layout in the hall area. I say it's the basement, and I've got enough. So I will have spare when these are finished. So you never know, there might be a hearth for another room. I'm not sure what I'm doing about the fireplaces yet in the other room. Oh, they're very similar, aren't they? Let's have a bit of this one in here. That's sort of similar, but not the same, but it's a bit more browny. The stairs come down into this, as you could call it, a lobby area. And by nature of its layout, there isn't a side window, but there is there a front window? No, I don't think there is a front window. So maybe there isn't a window in that bit, I can't remember. Obviously the light is different depending on the windows you have, and because it's the basement, it's not, you know, it's at the front of the house, but it's not like the sun streaming in. Yum, yum, yum. I do like to mix things up, the jobs that I'm doing. So I have to be doing, you know, a bit of sanding, a bit of painting. I can't do all of one thing for too long. It just gets to me a bit. I like variety. And I've got admin-y things to do tonight. Paul's working from home today, so I try and keep out of the house on a Wednesday so I don't distract him. We rendezvous over lunch. But otherwise I sort of forget that he's supposed to be working, and I wander in and natter to him, and I want to play music and stuff like that. And it's only a tiny house we live in, so he's very easily disturbed, and if he's on a Teams call or something like that, I don't really want them to hear my singing in the background. Well, they might appreciate it, I don't know, but it's not terribly professional if he's doing a call with a customer or one of the directors. This is looking lovely. Really pleased with how this is coming together. So a job like this, really, you know, you can do several rough coats, and say it doesn't have to be perfect. And as these are drying, if I just tilt you a little bit, you'll see them drying. They are coming out at different shades, and that's good because they're all going to be mixed up. I will separate them all out. I'll show you that when I do that. I'll separate them all out and then fit them. I will probably do like I do on the floorboards. Let me just tilt you back again, and stick them onto some paper and then slide the whole thing in, just to give them a little bit more rigidity. But I can't stick them in anyway for a while yet because I need to paint the walls and I've got lots of things I have to do first. But I just wanted to keep moving in the forward direction, making progress, as they say. So it's baby steps, isn't it? And it doesn't, in my world, it doesn't have to be all done in order. It just means that these are going to have to be put away before I can lay them. See, that's very dark, that one. And that's okay. But I was looking online the other day. I've ordered wallpapers and some more strips for floorboards. I've ordered those, so those are going to be coming probably tomorrow or Friday. And I'm not ready to do them, but they're there ready. I think the first thing we have to do is, well, I need to paint, but also we need to sort out the hinges for the front door, the front of the house. so it's removable. Oh, what's that? What have I got? Oh, I think I picked up white paint from here. I need to start a new sheet. Okay, let's wipe that off. If your quarry tiles are anything like mine, they have stains on them of various things, and the grouting is so old. It is certainly variable colours. That's a polite way of saying it is rather stained. Yeah. So when I finish this, I will leave them to dry, and I'm going in to make tea. So they've got all evening to dry. Do I leave that? Yes, I think I was going to say, do I leave that a bit more orangey? I think I do. I've got an apron on because I'm really good at splashing paint around. It's all right, my hands being covered in it because they're going to get washed thoroughly. And you can't do something like this with gloves on. It's just too fiddly diddly. So I've ordered a embossed, so it's sort of textured, embossed paper for the kitchen floor, which will look like, I think it looks like stone flags, which may or may not be in keeping with a Regency townhouse, but bearing in mind it is in the cellar, I thought that would be good. But I've quite fancied a embossed paper, and I will probably weave some sort of floor covering for it as well. Don't quite know how I'm going to do that in miniature, but we'll work it out. Quite fancy doing that anyway. Might have to build myself a little loom. Gosh, I used to have a little loom when I was a child. Actually, I'm sure if I made one, I could use it for a multitude of things. Or I might, yeah, I don't know. I've got some raffia that I bought. I couldn't, when I got my sweet peas this summer, I couldn't get any twine. They just, everyone seemed to be run out of twine. Is there a shortage of twine? I don't know. So I went for the next thing I could find, which was sort of like a, what they call it, a skein when you have wool. It was one of those of raffia. So I've got quite a lot of that. I might see what I can do with that, which might make it quite nice and rustic. But it is a sort of a living dining room. It's not just, sorry, kitchen dining space. It's not just, where have you gone? Can you see me? It's not like a servant's kitchen, and it's not like a back kitchen. So it's a live-in kitchen. So I want it to feel quite homely. So with these tiles, I don't know if you can see, where are you? There. Some of them, I had a bit of a go with my blade and take the corners off. So some of them aren't actually as smooth and square because I had in mind for edging. So I may or may not use those depending on how many we've got. and how many I need. But I thought I'd just paint them all for now. And then, I mean, these ones that I have taken the edges off, I can just trim them differently to make sure I've got making the best use of the tile that's available. And I'm going to carry on with these and get them all done. You can watch if you like, or maybe I'll fast forward this bit. So these are fiddly diddly each individual. See, these are broken up. Maybe they'll become a hearth upstairs. Did they use quarry tiles for hearths? Don't know. Might have to go over them and paint them stone coloured, or maybe I'll leave a few. Or actually, I might just make stone hearths from a whole piece of wood. There's always things you can do with oddments, either in the townhouse or Bramble Cottage, which doesn't have a fireplace because it's got the stove, and that heats the hot water and everything because it's only a teeny weeny little cottage. And if you haven't seen the update of that, it has now been weathered. Take a look and have a look, because it's quite different to the townhouse, but it may give you some more ideas for your property. And I'd love to know what you have. Do tell me if you haven't already. Still got staple singers going in my head. I'll take you there. Do 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 do. Oh, I love painting. Not sure if I've worked out the best angle for you to see. I know I may well go out of shot from time to time, and maybe you're shouting left a bit, right a bit, or something, I don't know. And let me just say, don't get too hung up in the minutiae detail of things, because it's the overall look. And the more you have, and I'm not saying fill it chock to the gunnels with stuff, but the more things you have of interest in your project, little house, shop, whatever it is you've got going on, then the less your eye will be drawn to the imperfections, if they are imperfections. What we see as the maker, as with anything, we see all the faults and flaws, and it's very easy to be overcritical and go, oh, it's not good enough. Of course it's good enough. And you know what, you can always replace things later on. I mean, I can replace the floor. if I'm gluing these to a sheet of lining paper, wallpaper lining paper, which is what I will do, then they can be scraped off if I wanted to do that. So things can be changed, but you know, by the time you get all your accessories and bits and pieces in, really you don't notice the things, and it's so long by then since you did the whatever. Yes, you might remember that there are things not quite right about it, but give yourself a break and celebrate your achievements. I mean, just wow, that's, you know, wonderful. Like when you go and view a house, if you've done that of late, I haven't, but you know, you really don't notice all the little things. It's only when you go to move in and the house is empty and you think, oh, that bit of paintwork needs touching up there, and that there isn't quite right, and that, you know, and we need a shelf there, and but you really didn't notice those things necessarily when you viewed, because you were observing the overall thing, image. So don't give yourself too much of a hard time. Just make it with love. Pour the love into it as you're doing it, and that will radiate out. And the whole thing is, you know, we're doing this for the fun of it, aren't we? We're doing this because it feels good, because we enjoy doing it. And if anybody wants to come and peer in my house and go, oh, her tiles aren't all the same colour. Wow. Can you guess what I'd say? There's the door, off you go. I'm really not interested in their opinion if they're going to be critical like that. Of course we all like to hear that we've done a good job and people like what we've done, but I'm not doing it for them, I'm doing it for me. The only difference is I'm choosing to video this to share with you my process, because I'm not that bothered what people think. So if they don't like it, that's okay. I'm quite thick-skinned about it, and I think if I can share my process and it encourages and inspires somebody else, then that's all to the good. So that's quite a selection of tiles here and here. I will let these dry thoroughly overnight. Can you see? Ooh. Let these dry overnight, and maybe just tomorrow I will just put them away. I will have a look at them though and see which ones need more paint. I might do the extra coat of paint another day, another time, maybe when I'm nearer to getting them laid. Don't know, but for now, that's the start. It's a move in the right direction. And I'll show you on the next video the next stage. So I'm reusing these tiles that had been originally for Bramble Cottage. Then I realised they weren't going to do very well. I have already painted over some quite reddish. So these are going to be Quarry tiles for the basement. I've measured that. For the basement stairwell, hall, bottom bit next to the kitchen in the townhouse. So I'm just cutting them. I've marked them to, so they're not actually square, but they're squarer. And I've marked them and I'm cutting them all off. It's another one of these fiddly, time-consuming jobs, but it'll give it a nice authentic feel. And if you look at my flooring video, the tutorial, I will show you, well actually there's another video showing you about making the template for your flooring, and then I am sticking these on the template. And I'm making progress. So I'm sticking these on randomly because it has come to light that they're very slightly, must have been a couple of different rows or runs or whatever, are slightly different widths. So I'm deliberately not making a grid as you'd often see with quarry tiles. I'm quite sure some people had them fitted randomly, and bearing in mind it is the kitchen scullery, so it's the basement of the house, which originally the people of the house, the owners, probably didn't go down to. It was, I say, the scullery. I'm gonna, yes, do that one. And when you're laying a floor, you always end up with the gaps somewhere, which you cut afterwards and fill in. I'm so glad I had painted these to a degree beforehand. You can see where I'd stained them originally. I'd used some sepia ink to stain them when I was going to use them as a roof. And then when I worked out that they weren't really going to work for Bramble Cottage because there would be too many joints for around the dormer and the porch and stuff like that. So then I thought, okay, just put them to one side, they'll come in for something. And then when I thought I can use them as quarry tiles for the bottom of the stairs down to the kitchen, I did some splashing about with red paint, which is on a video somewhere, I really can't remember where. Probably in one of my very early ones for the townhouse. So I'm sticking them on one by one, very patiently, with wood glue. I have cut them sort of evenly with my wonderful guillotine. I think that must be my favourite tool actually, it's so useful. Could do it with a blade, but it would be a real fiddly diddly. And I'm not worried about the size of the gaps between the tiles too much. I'm going to paint over and between just the way I do in my wood floor tutorial. Ooh, oh no! Dun, 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 dun. And this is just wallpaper lining paper, which is what I use for the wood floors. And I measured it into the space. It takes quite a bit of measuring accurately because you've got to offer it, trim a bit, offer it, trim a bit, and so on, until you're happy with the size. And the stairs, when the stairs come down from the hallway, will sit on top of this. I had no way was I going to attempt to work around the stairs. And this is where, if you have a plan and you assemble things according to your plan, so work out what you got to do and then work backwards, thinking, right, what are the steps I have to do to get there, it's so much easier. And of course you wouldn't want to be trying to fit these in situ, so you put them on a backing. See, that's one of the thicker, fatter, wider tiles, and that one, you probably can't see it from your angle, but this one is definitely narrower. And I'm just picking these up randomly, I'm not picking them up in any particular order. That one I had already taken a dint out of in the corner, and it's sticking down quite quickly. More glue. And I can't go in and do anything else. I'm ready for an early tea tonight actually, but I can't do that until I've finished my floor. It's gone dark already. I've got all the lights on in here, but I'm warm and cozy. Don't know what that white speck is on there. Right, I will carry on with this and then show you in a bit. So let's give you an update room by room. Floor. This is going to be Paul's study up on the top floor. It was going to be my room, but it's going to be Paul's study room. Look, little bit missing, but that's the floor done. Well, laid. It all needs sanding and staining and all of that. Top landing. I can get that out. Little tiny bit missing. Again, all laid on its backing board. Refer to my videos about doing the flooring if you haven't already. I will paint underneath this in a colour to match the floor when I stain this, so that you don't have any annoying gaps. Little tiny bit needs sanding there to get that fitting better. Oh, sorry, next floor down. So this will be my room, my craft room, study, whatever. Little tiny strip missing, so that's going to be, I'll have to reduce the strip, but that floor's laid, so that needs sanding and staining. The landing, that's all done. Ta-da! Wonderful. So the paint work is done in the hall stairs and landing. That's all done. So what's this? This is, oh, sorry, move you down again. This is the bedroom. Again, another strip missing. I knew I was running out, and I was getting a bit frustrated, but I thought, okay, let's just see what we're left with at the end, what is missing and how much more I need to get. Landing. Now this annoying little strip here that's missing, this is going to be covered by a staircase. So that's sort of going to be about there. So you won't see that. It's going to be, can I get in there? No, it's a bigger staircase on that landing. Bigger staircase. So that's going to be coming in and sitting on there with a newel post in front of it and a handrail. So I need to finish off those. Let's see if I can lower you. Sit tight. So the hall, I was wondering about doing some really nice sort of tiled flooring. I'm going to have another look in the catalogue about that. Do I do that, or do I get enough flooring to do this as wooden floor? But I remembered last night in bed, as you do, the one that I'd seen was sort of reds and greens, and it looked gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But I thought, but we're going to have a purpley maroon front door. That's not really going to look very well. So I'll have another look, see if there's a paper of tiles that I could use in there. So that's the hall, not finished. This is all I've got left. One little piece of wood and a few little snippety bits. This is that was my bedroom. This is the living room. See, a fair chunk missing there. So I'm not going to sand and stain these floors until I've got all of the wood done, and then I'll do a mass sand and stain. Let's see if I can just lower you down a little bit more without stopping the video and starting again. Oh, there we go. I'll show you this in a minute, the basement floor. So this is the kitchen. Whoops. And I had a little bit of so this is paper, textured paper, and I'm going to put another sheet of lining paper behind it just to thicken it up a bit. I've had a little snag with my blade. Where are we? Can I show you? There. Where I was trying to trim it off while it was still wet, and it caught and it's torn the paper a bit. So I need to reduce the front edge a little bit more when it's dry properly. But I'm going to put another bit of backing on the back, and as you can see, I've got a bit of overflow here at the back of the sheet, but I'm going to need that because I'm going to reduce the front. So it's a little bit patched at the back of the kitchen, but you won't actually notice that when that's done. So if we go back up again, I've been thinking about fireplaces and I haven't made them. I've been umming and ahhing. These things take time sometimes. So the kitchen, I'm going to be making a stove for, like an augury kind of stove. So that needs a sort of a recess to go into. The bedroom, the living room and the bedroom are going to have square, rectangular, against this side wall fireplaces. The two top rooms are going to have corner fireplaces. You can't see where I'm pointing, but oh yes. They're going to have corner fireplaces on the back corner because I don't want them to be all the same. I want variety in the different rooms. I've realised that the wallpaper I haven't got enough of. So I either order more wallpaper, or what I have done, and I haven't tried it yet, is I've paid for a printable, digital printer paper thing. So I've got the files, I just need to choose which paper I'm going to have in which room, and Paul says I can choose on his behalf. Yippee! He's colourblind anyway, so goodness knows what we'd end up with in there if he chose it. But it could be his choice, it's fine. Anyway, yeah, so I need to go through those and make some choices and then print them out. But I've got, I think it's like 92 or something like that ones to choose from, and I know a lot won't be right from the beginning because they're the wrong colourways. This is the basement floor, down by the kitchen. Handrail to go on there, newel post to go on there, but I ran out of tiles, and I've put in some floorboards that I had left from a previous from Bramble Cottage that were already stained. Never mind, hey ho. So these are the other squares that I did, and I've stuck them onto card. And what I've done is I've gone over with a little bit of Liquitex Gloss Medium varnish just to give them a bit of a sheeny shine, because my next plan is I'd like to see if I can grout these a bit. And I know this is deliberately uneven. The pattern isn't all, you know, checkerboard kind of thing, because some of them are slightly wider, I think I mentioned in a previous video when I was doing them, than others. And I, you know, I just like to celebrate imperfections. I like to celebrate differences, and you know, it doesn't all have to be perfect. I want it to be different. It's the basement, it's the cellar, not the cellar, the basement, staff quarters if you like. But what I want to do is, I found this is, a neighbour gave me this before she was moving away. So this is semi-gloss regular gel. I haven't used it, it's still sealed, but I'm going to try mixing some up with some yellowy sort of colour. If you look at the kitchen floor, it's sort of a yellowy peachy colour. Something like that, something certainly lighter than this, and I want to rub it on and see if I can use it as grout. And I'd wipe it off the tiles. That's why I varnished the tiles first. Push comes to shove, if it all goes horribly wrong, I just sand the whole lot and make good from there. But that is what I would like to do. We'll see if it works. I haven't got much further with the stairs. We've had absolutely abysmal weather, as in like really, really thick mist over the Christmas holiday, which has restricted me a bit. I haven't been able to go out and do sanding. It's been quite cold and grim. I've got the handrails for these stairs. What I need to do is, I thought it'd be all right staining these angled edges. What I realise is they need to be painted. So all of those three aspects need to be painted on, all the bottom of the stair bits. I haven't sanded the others. I've got 3 new wall posts ready to go, but I'm not going to put any stairs in until I've got the floors finished. And I need to get, see, there we are, you can see it. I need to get cornice for the top there, and I need to get skirting boards, which will be stained the darker brown, because I think the darker brown and the sage will look quite lovely, and the same for here. Now, do I put an order in now? It's, what are we today? Monday the 30th, I think it is, of December. Nothing's going to arrive till the new year anyway. So I think I'm just going to take a few days to just think my order through properly instead of rushing it, and order things and get them in the new year, and then I'll do a whole new bunch of staining. I feel like I need a bit of a break from being in here all wrapped up like a Inuit person. I'm a bit fed up of wearing layers and layers and layers of clothes. I want to go inside in the warm. But what I'm going to finish off doing today is, see, move you down. I've sort of finished my settle for Bramble Cottage, so I want to do a bit more finishing on that. And I've got a seat cushion to make, and if you're in, well, you will see it if you look in Patreon for Bramble Cottage. That is the handrail that goes on one or other, don't know which one it is, of these top landing railings, and they both need a bit more of a sand. I have painted them roughly, not sure if I just painted them or yes, I think I've painted them, primed and painted, but they need a bit more sanding, give them a better finish. And one of them, I think it could be this one, the slightly wider and shorter one, I think is going to be that one. And there will be a newel post at the side. So anyway, we'll see which one looks right once I've got the stairs in, but I'll sand them both, finish prepping them both. And I haven't done it yet, but I want to do it today because I want to paint this. This is my front door, because in the order, when I do the order, I want to order the door furniture for this. It's only, you know, a couple of quid for each little bit of item, but I'd like to get that ready because it sort of feels like it's a bit more of an acknowledgement of the house itself. And then when I put all the front together, which I'm quite way off from doing, but I'd like to do that when I have a fine spell, to sand and paint and everything, prime all that to get it done. I've already got the front door, but the front door will dictate colour choices, particularly because that will be going into there. I've got to know what I'm choosing for my front hall flooring. I just think I want something a bit different. I quite fancy some really nice tiles. So I took that away and I didn't show you. I went over here. See, like that. So that's going to go there. So that will dictate. Actually, does it go that way or does it go? I think it goes that way. The door hinges there. I need to get the hinges. I haven't been able to get hinges. That's going to be another Etsy thing. And yes, some nice tiles for that floor would be lovely. Welcome. These back landings, I haven't decided. I think I might just paint them. But until I can offer the stairs in properly, I might paint them first and then make the final decision. So do I do floorboards there or just paint them? You know what, I think I might just do floorboards. So I'll have to cut out more templates and get another sheet of floorboards for these back landings. Because if I just paint them and then I assemble everything together, I might think, oh, I wish I'd done it properly. And I might be kicking myself a bit. So I think I might order a couple of sheets of floorboards. They always come in useful for something, those boards. After all, I made the kitchen unit for Bramble Cottage using some of the floorboards. So yeah, I think I might do that. And we've got horrendous weather here in the UK coming over New Year. It's going to be, we've got storm warnings and it's going to be plummeting below freezing and stuff. So I think I need a few days in the warm. I think my house needs a clean as well. Inside my big house, my home. So I think I might just be taking a bit of a break from this and I might do some inside my warm home things instead. I want to make my seat cushion for that. And I might even start doing an easy chair. I just fancy doing some fabric. I've done a lot of woody things the last few days. So I fancy doing some textile-y things in the warm and dry. And what I could do, actually, if you look over, twiddle around, there are my, ooh, is it going to go into focus? There are my hollyhocks for Bramble Cottage, so they need to be finished as well. So I might get those finished. Those are the newel posts that all need sanding. That sanding isn't as bad as doing the MDF stuff, which is all over there, which is horrid, dusty, outside with a mask on stuff. This is just normal wood, proper wood. And these are handrails, which I need to finish off. And what's that? That's the wallpaper that I have got, and a bit of the roofing paper, the textured roofing paper. But it's been so cold this week. Beautiful day today, absolutely razzle dazzle sunshine, but it's still cold. Max hasn't wanted to come in here, it's been so cold, although I've had the heater on. So I think that's where we are. I think I will edit this video together and put this up on Patreon for you, and then you can see where we are so far. I'll talk to you very soon. The floor is all grouted. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Nice bit of texture and stuff going on there. So that goes in. I will glue it into position, and then when the stairs are in as well, there you are. You can't even see the bits at the back that are strips, but that's nice and textured, nice and sort of weathered looking. So when all that is dressed, and there's actually quite a lot of space at the front here, when all that is dressed, that will be absolutely lovely. I'm so delighted, and you'll see it in future videos and you can say to yourself, I know how to make that.